My name is Patricia, my surname is Diata. I'm the General Secretary of Sikhula Sonke and also a former farm worker and farm dweller that also have worked permanent on the farm but also worked as a seasonal worker. So I have tasted the differences of being a permanent worker on the farm and being a seasonal worker, and it does differ a lot. Sikhula Sonke is a trade union led by women. 70 to 90% on the Sikhula Sonke structures are women. And why is Sikhula Sonke woman-led? It is woman-led because it was founded by a group of farm worker women who have experienced a lot of gender-based violence, but also experienced domestic violence during a time where farm workers were also partly paid with wine during the DOP system. So the DOP system contributed to a lot of domestic violence, a lot of gender-based violence within our families, of which I myself grew up during that time, and was also exposed to how it feels in an environment where you actually have parents that come drunk home every night. They go sober out of the house, and when they come back they are drunk. Sometimes they're too drunk when a 7-year-old needs to go and help their parents to be able to coming home, because coming from the workplace too drunk even to get home. So Sikhula Sonke women, these women worked with the NGO, Women in Farms. Women in Farms played a very vital role in empowering ordinary farm women to be able to take a stand in the, against the abuse, domestic violence, gender-based violence, but also they also suffered and bear the brunt of when their men was dismissed. These women had also no choice. The family and the children were also evicted with the men, because the man was connected with the housing contract. In those days, the housing contract was only in the names of the men. So if the male loses his job, despite the fact that the mother is still working on the farm and haven't done anything wrong, they were evicted with the men and the children and all. So the woman felt the necessity, despite the fact that farm workers was organized by trade unions in that time. They didn't actually cater for the needs of the women on the farms, but also if you organize farm people, you can't separate the labor from the social, because it goes hand in hand, because of the paternalistic relationship that is there, because farm workers are dependent on the farmer for everything. Isolated, living in isolated areas, need transport when they want to go to doctor, need transport from the farmer. When they want to go to the town to go for groceries, they need the transport. Basically, even the housing that was previously subsidized by government have also now become the owner of the farm, and also therefore workers are also now exposed of being vulnerable even to tenure to the farmers. So these women have founded Sikhula Sonke, means we grow together. Sikhula Sonke means we grow together, and it's also it fits so well within this organization itself, because, well, if I see from where our ordinary farm people have come, if I also look at myself example of being an ordinary farm worker and farm dweller, and where I am today, because of the empowerment and also taking a stand and resisting the violations on farms. So the organization was registered on the 10th of December as a trade union. We so badly wanted a trade union only for women, but that was not possible because during those times the women urged the need to have something that will protect them against the unfair dismissals, the evictions, and also also speaks on the need of what the women needed, because during those days women have literally gone into the workplace with their children because there was no creches. So women on the farms, these Sikhula Sonke women have now also become part and parcel of the negotiation teams. Sikhula Sonke believe in building strong grassroots leadership, where we start at the members. The members on the farms elect their own committee who's going to represent them. in the health, we have 4 categories during those time. It was the labor, it was the social security, it was the health and safety, and it was the land and housing. The committee out of 4 and a representative on the farms of each one of these categories. And they were then called also the resource agents, because they are the people that were empowered in order to be able to take up the issues on the farm, but also to educate the people on the farms around their rights in this component. So when we come around the negotiations table for these women, yeah, labor wages is important, but ensuring that your children are taken care of whilst you're in the work has also become very important. Working in the vineyards and working in the orchards, exposed to pesticides, but also when you need to relieve yourself, you need to go out in the bushes. So it becomes a very dignified issue for our women also to negotiate for toilets within the vineyards, where people will regain their dignity and will also be able to relieve themselves in a dignified manner. So Sikhula Sonke also organize, negotiate for maternity benefits, and on some of the farms we managed to negotiate for 25% of your monthly salary. The law gives you 4 months maternity leave, but there's no, actually it's not paid maternity leave. You do get your UIF, the unemployment insurance funds, which is maybe just a little portion of your monthly salary that you get once, and for the rest of the months you have no income. So on some of the farms we managed to negotiate for 25% of your monthly salary for every month for the 4 months that you are on maternity leave. So that will also give the mother and the child time to connect, because in the previous years our people went on maternity, went to in labor, and then maybe 2 weeks after labor they needed to get back in work, so in order for them to be able to have an income to sustain and their children and their family. So in Sikhula Sonke it has also become important for the woman to negotiate around transport for their children, living in isolated areas where everything is distant. Institutions, the health facilities, the education facilities, it has also become important for farm women to negotiate for transport to school. And also on some farms where women negotiated for the farm employer to pay half the money for the school fees, and also to contribute to school uniforms. Not a lot of farmers buy into it, but we are very fond of the 5% that do buy into that, are willing and have the will to actually go and meet the farm worker halfway in order for his workers to be happy. And we also believe his production is also better, and it's also shown that farm workers that are taken good care of, the small minority of farm workers that are taken good care of their employers, are actually more productive than farm workers, which the employers just don't care. So also for Sikhula Sonke, it also has become important to around the health and safety issues, because a lot of women, especially seasonal workers, they work in the vineyards, they work in the orchards with their own clothes, without any overall, without any protective clothing, which also make them to take a backstand in life, because while earning this little salary, it's £5 a day, which if I buy a 2 kilogram of chicken, a day's money is gone. I still need to feed my children, I still need to clothe them, I still need to take them to school, because the secondary school you pay school fees, and it's high amount of school fees, and then you will get also a high amount of dropouts of grade 10 of the rural communities, because when children come to that standards, it's not it's hard for them to compete with the children living in the towns, living in the suburbs, because they can't even afford sometimes the whole school uniforms. And we have education system that have become also so oppressive even against those children that can't afford these school uniforms. They are being put out of the gates and literally chased away from the schools for not even having the full uniform. And also the reports have been held back because the parents can't afford to pay the school fees. And at the end of the day, it forced the children to go out of school, sometimes to go and help work their parents so that they can actually be assistants and help provide for the basics in the family. We also have started through the program of War on Want. We are also allowed a space where we can start, where we've started to work with women. We are a woman-led, but we have also men, because we can't exclude the men. In order for us to be a trade union, we needed to the men, but we went to the men and tell the men, yes, we can start a union, but we do need your support, but you're not going to lead us. Because, well, women have founded this, and it's woman-led, and we don't compromise when it comes around the leadership. And they didn't have a problem that time, and some of them still don't have a problem now, because they feel women were actually more outspoken. For them it was about working and listening what yes boss is saying and doing the work. But for women, women become resistant when their rights are violated, even if it means they stood up even during the times when they didn't have laws to protect them. The men supported us, and we also have a declaration in our membership form that stated if you, a male, wants to become a member of Sikhula Sonke, you're not allowed to commit to violence against women and children. You can actually lose your membership. But you don't actually lose your membership in the beginning. We will talk to you, and if you are willing to be helped, we will find the right places and advise you to it, or also refer you to that so that you can get help. But if we've given you that and you're still not actually changing, we're sorry, we need to determine your membership. Yeah, but we also believe having that in the clause have also forced a lot of men to change their behavior, because while they need to be protected of the violations of their rights on the farms, and that actually might also to have a decrease in violence against women and children. We are faced with challenges organizing in the sector, because it's the most difficult sector to organize in because of the private property clause. Because if you get on the farm and those bad farmers get you there and knows that you're from a union, he has the right to chase you with the dogs because you're on his property. So we then need to find ways to organize beyond this, because a lot of farms now there's electrical fences and gate fences that works with a remote. So you need to get in touch with the employer in order for you to get in. So we then also find strategies on how to organize beyond the challenges. And we target our people in the towns, where they go on the towns. We will do blitzes. We will do also speak outs within towns where the farm people come together. We target the trucks where they come together, and in that's the way they come back to us and phone us and say, we want to belong to a union, how do we do it? So we tell them then, in order for us to gain access, you need to be the majority. Sometimes we gain the access with the majority, but also seems to lose the majority when it comes to the verification process, which is a very intimidating process, where the farmer and the union and the people need come to them. We must ask them, you belong to the union? And they say yes, and a lot of them, no, we don't belong to the union. and in that regard we also lose membership. But in the end of the day, Sikhula Sonke has done a great work in educating ordinary farm workers in Dallas and Able, and we believe in educating them, learning them about their labor rights, learning about them health and safety issues. It also helped them around, and also 10-year Security Act, which has to deal with the living and accommodation on the farms. Learning them about this and what their right is also actually starting them, opening up their minds to new terrorists, and to also make them realize that, wow, yes, we are exploited, yes, we are a group that are very vulnerable and our rights are very much violated, but we can take a stand against this. We have a right. So we also in Sikhula Sonke use the Labor Relation Act as a platform where we can actually enforce the rights. But in Sikhula Sonke we go beyond the Labor Relation Act, because we believe in building strong relationships, but also educating the workers means educating the farmers, because some of the farmers come back and they actually ask us, I'm experiencing this problem. What can I do to make this better? Because I want to make this better, because this is a good worker. And then in that regard, we also learn the farmer how to behave better and how to treat his workers. Where, for instance, on a farm where an ordinary woman worker, we have very powerful women in Sikhula Sonke. We have an ordinary woman worker that stopped an eviction of 2 people, 2 men, and told the farmer, no, but you can't dismiss these people, you can't evict them, because you give them the right to take the tractor to go and take some good. And they did that, and now you want to evict them and discipline them for a thing that you have given them permission to. You are breaking the law, so you're not supposed to do that. And the farmers stopped doing it. And also where the same woman is an ordinary farm woman, she's about 50 years old, where the same woman also, she was walking down the road and she saw the horses drinking out of a bin. And she was like, good Lord, the horses is drinking out of the bin, and I don't even have a bin to throw in the dust and the garbage. And the farm is actually full of garbage because there's nothing to throw it in. And she went to the farmer and she said, so she told him, hi, but it's quite weird that the horse have a bin to drink out, and I don't have something to throw in the garbage. Huh? Your farm is full of garbage because, well, the bins is used by the horses. And a week later, the farmer dropped bins in every home. So this woman is actually a woman that actually take a stand and realize that and realized that how important it is to exercise a right. But also another thing that have fragmented our working class, when the new liberal policies was invented, the trade development cooperation agreements between the EU and the South Africa, it started to shift how things was then before. It actually became worse because a lot of women that was permanent became seasonal workers. Employment of labor contractors, where the responsibility of the owner was now shifted to the contractor, and these contractors, they move like mobiles. They don't have an office, they don't have a constituents. And at the end of the day, if you have a dispute and you give it against the employer said, no, they're not working for me, they're working for the contractor. But in nowadays, we actually go beyond that, and we held the main company responsible, and we say that to the employer, well, in the olden days you have gotten away with it, but now you're not getting away with it because it's on your farm. You're paying that labor contractor, so you need to deal with it, or else we're taking you. Sikhula Sonke is very successful in resolving cases on farm level, because our farm committees they are equipped with the knowledge and the tools to actually to be able to be resolved. And we believe in building the grassroots leadership is actually strengthening, because it also allows them for us Sikhula Sonke to move on, because we are understaffed because of the little resource. But it allows them building the strong grassroots. It can actually makes us to expand, to learn, to go and learn new members around their rights, whereas the older members are able to take up their own issues. I think also another important thing that I would not want to miss and speak about is the strikes of the farm worker. We had strikes in the Western Cape, farm workers, and we believe and we know it is the ignorance of our government, of most of the farmers, to actually pay the farm workers a wage that will be able to cater their needs. But they also, we as farm workers also want to see our children go to schools, becoming doctors, becoming nurses, but with the hunger wage that is being determined by our government, it becomes impossible for farm worker children to have an education and become somebody's in life. So the farm worker strikes, it can relate also to the Marikana strikes. It's the same thing that happened. It's quite scary to see how people that were once so afraid of farmers have broken that fear. Factories were shed alight. 2 farm workers died. 34 Marikana workers died. And also we've seen how the state has also become protective of the new liberal policies, but also the bosses, because these people that are supposed to protect the people are used to actually kill the people. And when we found out, when we go deeper into it, it's actually why can't the state actually address the needs of the poor, address the needs of the people on the ground? It's because they've also become part and parcels of the bosses, because they own farms and they own shareholders within these mines, where these exploited and vulnerable workers are working. And in the end of the day, when they take a stand against the violations of their right, against the patriarchal system, but also against a system that actually don't give a dime about a human life, but only thinking of profits, causes lives. At the end of the day, human life costs nothing, because I will do everything to protect my profits, and people that are actually generating those money and are feeding the world, they are dying, because despite the fact that farm workers are going to work every day, there's still a 40% of them that are going hungry every night. They're going to bed hungry despite the fact they are working. So yeah, I believe it's also time that we took a stand and that we fight against this monster called capitalist system that don't give a dime around humanity and life, where they don't see that the same needs that the women and their children have is also the same needs that the farm worker, the farm dweller and vulnerable people have across the world.